Hey everyone! Welcome back to. If you're a coin enthusiast or just someone who loves learning about the history and value of coins, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into a specific coin that many of us may have come across in our change, the 2002 Jefferson nickel. So, let's take a close look at this coin, and more importantly, discuss its circulated value and a few interesting facts along the way. Whether you're a seasoned coin collector or just getting started, you'll want to know the full scoop about the 2002 Jefferson nickel. Let's start with the basics. The 2002 Jefferson nickel is part of the Jefferson nickel series that has been in circulation since 1938. It's one of the most iconic and enduring U.S. coins. The obverse, or front side, features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, just like every other Jefferson nickel since its debut. The reverse side, however, went through a notable change in the early 2000s in 2002. The reverse of the Jefferson nickel was redesigned to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the Louisiana Purchase. This design features a detailed depiction of Jefferson's home, Monticello, located in Virginia. The new reverse was designed by artist Felix Schlag, and while it's a classic image, it's always worth remembering that each year brings slight variations in minting processes. Now, if you're holding a 2002 Jefferson nickel in your hand, it's probably not going to make you a millionaire right away, but let's talk about what it's worth today. So, in terms of its circulated value, the 2002 Jefferson nickel is still valued at 5 cents. That's right, a nickel is worth 5 cents, no matter the year. However, collectors and enthusiasts like us care more about the premium a coin can carry, depending on its condition and rarity. For a regular circulated 2002 Jefferson nickel, you're looking at the standard 5-cent value. These are coins that have been in circulation, so they'll have signs of wear and scuff marks, and sometimes they'll be a little tarnished. Nothing too unusual there, right? So, what about higher value 2002 nickels? Well, let's take a deeper look. If you happen to have an uncirculated 2002 Jefferson nickel, meaning it's never been in circulation and retains its pristine condition, the value could go up a little. These coins might be worth anywhere from $0.25 to $0.75 depending on their exact condition and the specific grading. Coins that have been well preserved, with no scratches, dings, or tarnishing, are often more desirable to collectors. So, if you've got a mint condition 2002 Jefferson nickel, don't just spend it without checking its quality first. Now, there are also proof coins from 2002. These are specially minted for collectors and come with a mirror-like finish and sharper details. A proof 2002 Jefferson nickel can sell for a little more, sometimes around $3 to $5 depending on the specific set it's part of. Proof coins are not found in circulation, and they're typically bought as collector's items or as part of limited edition sets. If you've got a proof version of the 2002 nickel, keep in mind that the condition, packaging, and whether it's part of a set will all impact its value. Here's a fun fact. Although the 2002 Jefferson nickel isn't known for being super rare, there are certain rare varieties in the series. For example, mint errors can sometimes add significant value. If you happen to have a 2002 Jefferson nickel with a noticeable minting mistake, like a double die or off-center strike, it could be worth much more than the standard value. Mint errors happen when something goes wrong during the coin-making process, and they can be incredibly valuable to collectors who specialize in such anomalies. If you think you've got an error coin, get it inspected by a professional to determine if it's something truly unique. Finally, let's talk about the market trends for the 2002 Jefferson nickel. As of now, the coin's value has remained pretty stable. It's not a high-value coin, but like all collectibles, its worth can fluctuate based on demand, interest in the series, and changes in the collector community. Nickels from the 2000s haven't shown major spikes in value yet, but that doesn't mean they're not worth collecting. You never know when an interest in a specific coin might rise, so if you find a batch of 2002 Jefferson nickels in your change or as part of a collection, you might want to hold on to them for a while. So, to wrap it up, the 2002 Jefferson nickel is a great coin for both casual collectors and those looking to add a piece of American history to their collection. While its circulated value is still just 5 cents, the real fun comes in learning about its details, finding pristine versions, and maybe even discovering a rare minting error. The 1989 Jefferson nickel. We're going to talk about its circulated value, why it's significant, and whether it's worth holding on to if you have one. Let's get started. Alright, first things first. The 1989 Jefferson nickel was struck by the United States Mint during a pivotal period of American coinage. It was a time when the design had been relatively unchanged for decades, so let's break down what this coin is all about. The 1989 Jefferson nickel follows the traditional design introduced in 1938, and it features two major elements: Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, on the obverse, that's the front of the coin, and Monticello, his iconic Virginia estate, on the reverse, that's the back. Now, while the design stayed consistent throughout the years, let's look at the specifications. This nickel weighs 5 grams, has a diameter of 21.21 millimeters, and is made of a combination of copper and nickel. It's a familiar sight for anyone who has collected U.S. coins. Now, let's get to the million-dollar question. What is the circulated value of the 1989 Jefferson nickel? Well, the short answer is that it's worth its face value of 5 cents if you find it in circulation. Yes, it's worth 5 cents in regular, everyday use. The 1989 Jefferson nickel, like most nickels, is not exactly rare or highly sought after in the world of modern coin collecting, especially when it comes to coins in average circulated condition. Coins that are in circulated condition often show wear from daily transactions. This means the details may be less sharp, and the coin might even have a few nicks or scratches. When a coin is heavily circulated, it typically won't fetch more than its face value. However, there's a twist. Some 1989 Jefferson nickels in uncirculated or proof condition can be worth more, especially if they're graded highly by organizations like the PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation. If you're lucky enough to come across a 1989 Jefferson nickel in uncirculated condition, meaning it's never been used in transactions, and it's still pristine, you might have something worth a little more. These coins can be found in rolls or mint sets, and they can fetch prices anywhere from 20 to 50 cents or more, depending on their condition and demand. Proof versions of the 1989 Jefferson nickel, which are specially struck for collectors, can also carry a premium. These coins have a mirror-like finish and are usually sold in proof sets, which were produced in limited numbers. If you can find one of these coins in top-tier condition, you could see values range anywhere from $1 to $2 or even more depending on the market. Now, some collectors also focus on slight variations or minting errors that might make a coin like the 1989 Jefferson nickel more valuable. While there are no major errors or unique features specific to the 1989 date, keep an eye out for things like double dies or off-center strikes. Mint errors like these can sometimes make a coin worth significantly more than its face value, and they can really spike interest among collectors who specialize in those kinds of coins. Oh, should you hold on to a 1989 Jefferson nickel? In the short term, there's not a huge premium over face value for most circulated examples. However, like with all coins, time and scarcity play a major role in determining value. As the years go by and fewer of these coins remain in circulation, it's possible that the 1989 nickel could gain some collector interest. While it may not be a treasure today, it could become a valuable piece of history as time progresses, especially if you have one in excellent condition. And that's a wrap for today's video on the 1989 Jefferson nickel. If you've got one in your pocket or your collection, take a closer look at its condition. It might not be worth much now, but it could be a hidden gem in the future. The 1989 Jefferson nickel is part of the larger history of the Jefferson nickel series, which began in 1938 and has been one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. numismatic history. The design of the coin has remained relatively unchanged, but its history is intertwined with American values, the economy, and key moments in U.S. history. Before 1938, the U.S. Mint used the buffalo nickel, 1913 to 1938, which depicted a Native American and a buffalo. However, in 1938, the Mint wanted a new design that reflected the growing national identity and pride in American heritage. The Jefferson nickel, designed by Felix Schlag, was chosen to honor Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and a principal author of the Declaration of Independence. The obverse, front, of the coin shows a portrait of Jefferson, while the reverse, back, originally depicted his estate, Monticello in Virginia. Over the years, this design has undergone very few changes, making it one of the most consistent designs in U.S. coinage. The 1980s were a time of economic change in the U.S. as inflation, rising commodity prices, and growing concerns about the value of the dollar were on the minds of many Americans. In 1982, the U.S. Mint adjusted the composition of the nickel to reduce costs, switching from 75% copper and 25% nickel to a copper-nickel blend, which would remain the standard for the coin up until today. The 1989 Jefferson nickel ** is part of this era, continuing the classic design with no major changes. At this point, the coin had been in circulation for over 50 years, and it maintained its status as a regular 5-cent coin. It was widely circulated and would have been seen in everyday transactions. It was also a time when people became more interested in coin collecting as a hobby, and coins like the 1989 nickel found their way into the collections of many amateur numismatists. Though the 1989 Jefferson nickel itself wasn't issued as a commemorative coin, it's historically significant because it marks the continued use of one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. While the 1989 nickel didn't stand out for any significant design changes or events, the Monticello reverse design and Jefferson's portrait continue to represent American history and values. The 1989 Jefferson nickel was minted during a time when the U.S. economy was still experiencing the aftermath of the early 1980s recession. The mint continued to strike these coins in large quantities, and the 1989 date did not carry any particular rarity or special characteristics that would elevate its value in the numismatic market. However, it still represents a key moment in U.S. currency and numismatics, especially as Jefferson's legacy is often celebrated through his representation on the coin. Today, the 1989 Jefferson nickel may not have the same intrigue as rare coins from other years, but it remains an important part of U.S. coinage history. For collectors, the 1989 coin is more about the ongoing legacy of the Jefferson nickel series and its place in U.S. numismatics than its individual significance. Though it's not a rare or highly valuable coin on its own, finding an uncirculated or proof version of the 1989 nickel might offer collectors a chance to add a pristine piece of history to their collections. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more coin collecting content. Drop a comment below if you found any interesting nickels or if you have any other coins you want me to cover. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.